everyone. Welcome to our new podcast, KCKPS Spotlight. I'm Dr. Anna Stubblefield, Superintendent of Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. And I'm really glad you're spending some time with us today to learn more about our roadmap to the North Star. I have some lovely guests with me today, /co-hosts. This is our first time doing this, but I'll let them introduce themselves. They are both, I'll tease this, alumni of Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. Welcome. We'll start with Mr. Hansford.
I'm Kevin Hansford. I'm the Deputy Superintendent of Leadership, Learning, and Diploma Plus. Just started in July and very happy to be back home here in Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. I am a proud graduate of Sumner Academy, class of 1989. Go Sabres.
All right, Sabres.
There we go.
Jones.
I'm Dr. Jarius Jones, and I'm the Associate Superintendent of Human Resources. I, too, am a graduate of this district, and I graduated from F.L. Schlegel High School, the class of 1993. Yes, put the on that. And I have had an opportunity to serve in this district for 7 years as a math teacher at Wyandotte High School, and I served as an instructional coach between Sumner, Washington, and F.L. Schlegel High School. Did that for 7 years before taking a brief hiatus and moving on and serving in other capacities in different districts, but I came back home. And so this is my second year serving in this capacity, and I'm very, very happy to be a part of the exciting work that's going on here in KCKPS.
All right. Thank you for being here. And as I mentioned today, we're going to talk about our roadmap to the North Star. Several of you listening probably filled out a survey to tell us like what's important, what our students need to know and be able to understand both in the classroom, physically, emotionally, all of the things in order for them to graduate with a Diploma Plus. Mr. Hansford, Kevin, you have been like one of the point people on us doing the strategic plan. In plain language, can you share what the strategic plan is or what it is or why we're doing this?
Sort of simply put, a strategic plan is just what will really help us determine what our priorities should be. And as we consider things like expenditures and programs, it allows us to go back to the strategic plan and make sure that we are staying focused on the priorities that we've identified. The key piece here is that we did send out a survey, and we really want to make sure that our plan reflects our community, because I think we have to remember that in all things Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools, we serve the Kansas City, Kansas community and the people who live here. And so we want to make sure that our plan, the strategic plan, the things that we set forth as priorities are really the priorities of our community. And then going back to that over time to make sure that we are honoring that.
All right. Thank you for that. So, Dr. Jones, you talked about your history here, like as an employee, and both of you were students in the district. So as an employee, you probably lived through some different variations of a strategic plan, actual strategic plans. When we were discussing this, do you, in your experience in other districts, can you talk about a little bit why it would be important to create a new one?
Well, just as we are all educators, and I always tell people we're still teachers. Because, by the way, we have to have a teacher's license in order to be administrators. Mm-hmm. So we're just, I say, glorified teachers, if we want to say that. But as teachers, we're practitioners. Mm-hmm. And so practitioners, we're constantly evaluating our surroundings. We're evaluating our work. We're evaluating the data. And we're making conscious decisions on the next move. So in this work and the work that I've had an opportunity to be a part of when it comes to strategic planning, we understand that times have changed. Since 2001, the landscape of education looks very different. When I started teaching at Wyandotte High School, the way in which we present, the technology has changed, the demographics of our community has changed dramatically. And so when you're talking about a strategic plan, it has to be contemporary. It has to make sense. It has to agree with what's going on in the times. And so it's important that every so often you look back at the work that you're doing, the things that we were committed to doing in the current strategic plan that we have, and we have to evaluate, does this make sense? And the beautiful thing about it is that it allows us to not only from an educator's perspective, but allows us to bring the voices of the students, parents, community members, those individuals who have an investment in our school system. And so that is common in other spaces as well, that they're constantly looking at what are the needs of our scholars based on the times that we're in, the community that we're living in, and what we have available to us. I think Mr. Hansford described it poetically, that it allows us to, it's kind of like that roadmap. Mm-hmm. It's that roadmap, and we make sure that we keep our focus based on those things that we made a collective commitment to do as a school district community.
All right. So thank you for just highlighting that and how education has changed, how the district has changed, how this community has changed. But what I don't want to get lost in all of this change and us starting a new strategic plan is that we're not throwing out the things that currently work for us. And just to highlight some of the things that we've accomplished in the last few years. So 84% of our students who graduate with a diploma plus. We have the highest graduation rate that we've had since graduation rate has been recorded in Kansas. Well, we're currently have 81% of our students who in the class of 25 graduated. So the things that we have done to have those sorts of outcomes, we've decreased our chronic absenteeism. Class of 2025 had over $321 million in scholarships. So there are a lot of great things happening. We just passed a $180 million bond. We're building new schools, adjusting boundaries. So Mr. Hansford, when I talk about all of those great and wonderful things that are happening as we think about our new strategic plan and as we pull the individuals together to put the work together, how will this strategic plan help guide our work day to day and make sure that we capitalize on the things that are going well? How would you imagine that happening from your world?
Well, I think, one thing to be clear about is that strategic plans are typically written over about a 5-year period of time. And so we are just in that time frame for a refresh of the strategic plan. However, most of what will be written will actually affirm the work that you're talking about. Those priorities will still remain priorities. What may change are a few, bits and pieces there around how we get to those goals. It'll clarify those goals moving forward. We set goals for example, our North Star goal is set for 2031. That will fit very nicely within our strategic planning period. But it will reaffirm much of the work that we're doing, because you are right. There is a ton of great things going on. There are a ton of great things going on in Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. A lot to be proud of. This will affirm a lot of that. And I also think it will bring it forth so that it is more present within our community, so everyone is aware of the things that are happening within our schools, because there is so much sometimes that gets lost. So this will affirm and bring that forward, I think, for really into the light, to be spotlighted like we're doing, as we're doing here. I'm hoping on future podcasts.
Oh, yeah, we'll spotlight as we are making progress in that. But as we think about that, Dr. Jones, in your role as the Associate Superintendent of HR, none of this can happen if we don't have the right people in the right places and hiring people. So how do you see that incorporating in as we are rolling out or planning for the strategic plan? What are some things when you think about the human side of our workforce that you would like to see come out of this?
Well, we've all seen that over time and in the last few years that the number of qualified candidates, they're diminishing across the country. And so how do we, number one, continue to engage the individuals that we continue to have as a part of our team that are serving in those capacities? But then how do we attract, and how do we build, and how do we bring new individuals and new talent into the district serving, especially when we look at it from a certified teacher perspective? We are fortunate that we have several alternative routes to education. where we're allowing individuals who, in their first go around, when they ended school, they didn't necessarily go the path of an educator, but they took an alternative route. We have situations where individuals are working in our system and some of our classified work roles that are seeing that, hey, this is something I want to do. We just recently graduated several students from Wichita State with their bachelor's degree, who are serving now in our classrooms. They're pre-K through sixth grade, certified and licensed, and they're teachers of record that are serving in our programs. We have to think outside of the box about who it is that we are trying to attract into our district. We have to think outside of our box of where we're going to make sure that we serve this community that we have, and then also making sure that we find individuals who can agree with the roadmap that we've set for ourselves. We are unique, but then we're not unique. There are other urban school districts similar to ours, similar to our size. Some that may be larger, and so we all have certain things that we deal with. There are things that are unique to us, being in a very small, I guess you say geographic sized community. But there are some things that we are learning about our work. We're constantly, with keeping in mind our strategic plan, constantly trying to attract individuals that also look like our community of learners as well. And so what that causes is that it forces us to change some of the places that we've gone, add in some new areas. That's just from a teacher perspective, but we don't just hire teachers. We hire community members. We hire individuals who are in support roles. And so it's forcing us to rethink our strategy, how we move forward to make sure that we are current with times and that we're using the best practices to hire the best talent for whatever particular position it is. We also have to think too financially where our individuals are, where the economy is taking individuals. We have to keep that in mind, but we also have to keep in mind that we want to be good stewards of our taxpayers' dollars. And so there's a balance that we have to create, but we have to continue to think outside the box. And I think that's what this right here allows us to do, to not be stagnant in the way in which we do things. Something should be changing every day. We should be modifying our practice every day, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Okay. So if you're wondering how this plan will be created, it's not something that we'll do behind closed doors and just the staff. There will be steering committees. We've gotten lots of input. Thank you to those who completed the surveys. There's lots of conversations with staff, but there will be a committee, an action committee, steering committees. There is represent all of our stakeholders, parents, students, community members, staff, business partners. All of those individuals will come together and we'll put the plan together. And if you're taking the time to share your thoughts, or if you've took the time to share your thoughts, we're taking the time to listen, and that'll be reflected in the plan. Our focus area this year were primarily around 4 big things: belonging, ensuring every student and staff member feels valued, supported, and connected; consistency, providing equitable access to high quality teaching and opportunities across every school; coherence, aligning systems, programs, and priorities across the district to work in harmony; and our theme, our forever theme, as long as I'm your superintendent, better every day, embracing continuous improvement through small intentional steps taking us forward. So our goal is always to just get 1% better in every area every day. As you think about that, Mr. Hansford, what's one way this plan, when we think about our focus area and all of the things that we've talked about, what's one way this plan can make a real difference for our students?
Well, I think we have the opportunity, because our steering committee and our action teams will consist of community members and students from within our district. I think there's the opportunity here to improve programming to better match the needs and desires both of our business community and the interests of our students. I think there is that opportunity for us. I think additionally, it will reaffirm some of our focus areas around high quality instruction and a highly engaging classrooms and rigorous instruction that gets us to a point where we are really ensuring that every student that leaves our system is capable of going out into the world and achieving whatever goal it is they've set for themselves, whether that is to go to college, whether it is to attend a career and technical college, whether it is to enter into the business world immediately. We will have then equipped them with all of those necessary academic skills and behaviors, the social skills and behaviors to go out into the world and be successful. And I think that really is what this strategic plan gives us the opportunity to do.
Thank you. Dr. Jones, what do you think this means for our families and staff members by creating this? What does this mean for those individuals?
Well, not only am I a graduate, but also I have a third generation of Joneses that have matriculated through this school district. My 5 children attended school, Hazel Grove Elementary, Arrowhead Middle School, and Sumner Academy. And so our youngest graduated in 2023. And so when I think of this, I think of just even our own household, but then the many other families that we were connected to, being an educator in the system, a staff member, and being a parent of students who've graduated. It means a lot because it says to individuals who may or may not have the time to really understand how school systems work. It shows that we are being very strategic. We're being very intentional about what it is that we are doing. I think it allows us to be able to point to what we're doing and how we're trying to get there. It also allows individuals to see how they play a role in it. Families should play a role in it. Our voices should be heard about what it is that we want for a school system, what that ideal educational experience looks like. Mr. Hansford and I, we graduated from this district, and so we understand what it looked like going through the school system in the 80s and in the 90s and maybe him back in the 70s. I don't remember that. I was just coming in
Very late
in 1980.
70s, very late 70s.
Okay, now HR.
I'm going to be good.
Okay.
But if you look at it, there's several decades that are covered. And so what was relevant and what was great for us may not necessarily be a area of focus that we have right now for our families. That may not be necessarily what they are needing. And so it's going to be very, very key. It's key for their thoughts, their ideas, because we may have a handle on what curriculum may look like, what instruction should look like and sound like. We may have an idea of what the outcomes should be, but how we get there, it's going to take the voices of so many others. And I believe those families and those students are going to be able to tell us how we can best reach them. Even though my youngest graduated in 2023, things have changed. Things changed from when my first child graduated in 2015 to 2023. She had never experienced a pandemic during her schooling. And so that changed the perspective for my youngest child, for child number 5, and how she was to navigate her way through the end of her K-12 experience. Now we have students who have gone a few years past that. How does that impact us? There still are things that we're doing that you can tell it's a result of what we experienced 5, almost 6 years ago, which is kind of hard to believe it's been 6 years. But it has a lasting impact on us. What we have to make sure is that we're not stuck.
Right.
And that we're not stuck in the past, and that we're able to see forward, even with all that's going on around us, that we're able to see forward. And this process allows us to do that because voices are being expressed and voices are being heard.
Right. And so that community trust and the staff trust and students trust and parents' trust is hugely important to us, which is why we are taking the time to get the feedback from everyone to build out the plan. Not to go down a pandemic whole, but trust was broken in lots of places and not just for us as a school district, but across the country. So we recognize as we're building the trust back, as we're listening and people found their voice and, and spoke up, and we strongly encourage that. So as we're building this, we want to continue to build on the trust that we have and make pathways and systems where people know that they can be heard and we can engage in conversations, yet stay focused on what we have collectively put together about how we advance our students to be great community members.
Yeah, and if I could just add,
Yes.
one of the things when we talk about this strategic plan being the roadmap to the North Star, right?
Mhm.
So what I hope this strategic plan will be for our students, for our staff, for our community, is this. When we talk about our North Star goal, that's aspirational, right? That is, this really will lay out the specific steps that we intend to take to make sure that we get students to that point. It will almost serve as a promise, an assurance, right? That these are the things that we're working toward for you as a community. This roadmap that we built together, and so I hope that this will serve as a bridge of trust to say, look, this is what we're committed to. We can hold one another accountable to this, both as a school and a community at large. And so I do hope that this strategic plan, that roadmap to the North Star, is really just really an outward a way to express our commitment to what we're trying to do for students to make sure that they are prepared for the world and that we've done our best for them.
Yep, absolutely. So, Mr. Hansford, you might be more better positioned to talk about this, or we can share it together. Timeline wise, what's the next steps in the process? What does that look like? What should people expect? What's next?
So so what is happening currently is we are collecting all of that information that we received. We received close to about 800 responses through our thought exchange, which ended up with, I think, 9,000 connections in there that people have sort of expressed their ideas about what should be contained within this strategic plan. And so right now we're in the process of identifying a steering committee. And what the steering committee will do is they will just simply take that input and they will then develop that into our goal areas that we will have within this new strategic plan. They'll also take a look at our mission and vision to see if that needs to be adjusted. And then once we have those specific areas of focus, we'll obviously go to the board to get their affirmation of those areas. And then once those have been determined, we will then begin to build action teams here at the district level that will consist of, much of it will consist of district staff, but there will be students involved as well as community members who will actually take those goal areas and put those into actionable steps that we will take over time that will sit in the final strategic plan, which will go to the board for approval, I believe, somewhere in the summertime, so that it can be implemented for the 26-27 school year.
Yep. So, there's still opportunity. If you missed the survey, there still will be space because there will be people on the team that you can reach out to as the different iterations come out, and we'll give those committees and teams will provide updates. So January, February is like the team formation. March through May is the plan development. And we are always open for feedback, but this is exciting and hugely important, and it'll set the roadmap for the next 5 years. And it also will have the systems in place for us to hold one another accountable and to make sure that we stay on target and on progress for what matters most, and that's our students. So as we wrap up this episode, I want to say thank you to the both of you for joining me and talking about our strategic plan, and we look forward to future conversations. I also want to say thank you to the listeners for taking some time out of your busy day to listen on what's happening in the district, specifically around the strategic plan. Before I talk about where you can find it, any closing words from either of you or both of you?
Just appreciate the opportunity to talk about this. I'm excited about what's coming in the strategic plan. I know the power of a strategic plan. I've seen it in my past, both as a district leader and as a superintendent in another district, and so I'm very excited and glad you were included me in this podcast.
Thank you.
I echo your sentiments, Mr. Hansford, but it also allows us to create our own narrative. Mm-hmm. This is our narrative. Others try to share what they think they know about who we are. This allows us to come together as family. We all are different. We have maybe different desires, different goals. I think what is at the center of this and in this community is that Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools really is the best that it can be for the scholars and the families and the individuals that we serve. And so it allows us to define and declare our narrative as a system so that others will understand what it is that we have in our heart for our students and for this school district. So I look at it as a great challenge. I look forward to interacting with individuals within and around the community so that we can really do that difficult work at the front end, but also to be able to see how it becomes rewarding when we start seeing things come into play. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right. I'm excited as well. We will release new episodes once a month at the beginning. We may try to do more. That's been a little ambitious. We're going to focus on once a month. So please find us on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, or if you go to our website, kckschools.org, you can find information there. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.